Good afternoon and welcome to the Matt and Alecia Show. We come to you every Friday to talk to you about business, life, and marriage.
Yep.
Matthew and Alecia Lindsay with Precision Home Group here. Now we're here in Anchorage, Alaska. It's a little gray outside, a little dreary today. We're keeping it positive. So every week we're going to come talk to you, like we said, about business, life, and marriage.
Yeah.
So today, Alecia, we wanted to talk about what to do when sudden changes take place. A lot of people, and I know that when we first started, it really disrupted us.
Yeah.
Something happens, it's out of the blue, it's not planned for, whether that's, maybe a new business opportunity, maybe, something falls in place, maybe it's a family emergency, maybe it's something with a pet. Who knows what it is? We all have these sudden changes that take place. How do you handle them? And I just really wanted to get down into it and what it looks like because Alecia handles them differently than I do.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I'm a very structured person. Would you say that, Alecia?
Yes, very structured, very logical, and therefore, if there's any emotions involved, Matt is like, well, just don't do that.
So we have different ways to handle things, but as a team, as a unit, as a married couple, we take care of things and then we just keep moving forward. So we really just wanted to dive into this, let you look into our lives, how we handle things. Maybe you got some comments, you could drop those below. You got questions for us, let us know. We will respond to them, but let's talk about it. Let's dig into it, Alecia.
Yeah, where do you want to start?
So when something happens, sudden changes, we used to let it affect us a lot.
Right. Yeah.
And now we don't let that happen as much. There's certain changes we went through. Right. So could you speak to kind of what happened when sudden changes took place or emergencies, things, what used to happen for you, and now kind of what you figured out and how to overcome that.
Right. So some examples in our lives is a lot of them are like fire related. When Matt was doing wildland firefighting, we would be like having dinner, and then 20 minutes later we're like jumping in the car and trying to get all this stuff together. So I couldn't see him for 2 weeks. So it was like,
because I was on call and stuff.
Like it was like drop everything all the time. So it's like either drop everything so he can leave, or drop everything because he's coming back. And I didn't know that until 20 minutes ago. And so it was like very like on and off. It was like I didn't know how to be consistently me, with or without him. When we were long distance or when we were together, it was like two different when we were together, I was like, he's gonna leave. I need to be here all the time. And so dealing with that and trying to get used to those things and just other life changes that happen over time is just taking a second to breathe. Yeah. And then figure out that everything's going to be fine. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? And usually it's not that bad. It's just a little bit stressful for a few minutes. And then you move on with your life. This is pretty much what I do.
Yeah, so looking at things logically, right? Mm-hmm. And that's something Alecia and I have come to the conclusion that that's the only way to do things.
Yeah.
Because when you are frantic, when an emergency happens in the family or something like that happens, if you just sit there and in the middle of that add stress, add anxiety, and spread that emergency emotions around,
right,
that's just going to make the problems worse. Mm-hmm. Best thing to do is just sit down, analyze what's going on, look at what are the facts. Okay, now what actions do I need to take to make sure that this is lessened, that the effects taking place aren't going to be further detrimental to the situation.
Yeah.
And so that's how Alecia and I have gone about that. Do you have any examples of maybe a recent emergency or a recent something that's come up that we've been able to
pour fuel on the fire? You got to figure out how to resolve that problem and also make sure their needs are met and your needs are met, and that on all fronts, that you're not just creating a cat fight.
Yeah, exactly. And something else important to realize is that, other people's emergencies, whether that's in your family, outside of your family, a client like Alecia is talking about, mm-hmm. somebody other people's emergencies aren't necessarily your emergency.
Right.
And so they're going to be affected a lot more, where you can actually be a change, right? Like you can be the change in that person's life, in that person's environment by being the steadfast person not getting emotional, and taking those steps to correct that situation.
Yeah, so I like what Matt said there about emergencies. It's very easy to like see something in your inbox or get a text or get a call and says, drop everything, I need you to do this.
And we all get those.
And we all get them. And sometimes it's like, oh, it'll only take a few minutes, but sometimes they're necessary. Sometimes you need to take care of them now, but there is a differentiation between what's important and what's urgent. And sometimes the important things need to happen first. So if I don't do these important things, I fall off the wagon for like that task for a few days, which pushes everything else back. So you have to weigh the pros and cons of the items that you're allowing yourself to say yes to, and then say no to the ones you don't need. It's really hard.
Yep. And that just comes back to looking at it logically, right? Because if you're emotional, you're like, oh yeah, like I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, I'll do that. Everyone wants my attention, and it's just being pulled in all these different ways. And letting the environment control you, but you gotta control that. Take those logical steps, and just look at what steps do I need to take, to change that, to make sure that you are controlling and not being controlled.
Yeah, and along those same lines, it's easy to waffle because you're like, this is an emergency, or I do this. So committing to whatever you actually do, and because waffling back and forth is going to take more time out of your day than just committing to something, which is very hard sometimes.
And it's that inaction, right?
Right. So
because if you're waffling, you're like a little bit of action here and then reversing that, and then going over here. Just commit, like you're saying, and just go for it.
Right.
So that's kind of how we analyze things. How when emergencies or urgent things come up, how we handle them. It's very logical, step by step. Hey, what actions do we need to take? Let's look at it, analyze it, and then move forward. Making sure that we control our environment and making sure that we're moving forward, always forward, never back. So, do you have anything else you want to throw in there, Alecia?
Just, I guess self-confidence, like in that decision-making process. If you are just confident in yourself and your decisions and not second-guessing yourself, that can do wonders for your life.
Yeah, I totally agree. So thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you joining us today, watching this after the fact. Hey, if you have ever gotten any benefit, any added value from these videos, from the Matt and Alecia show, from any of the other shows that we produce together, I would like for you to actually drop a comment, let us know. Also, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, and if there's a topic you would like us to talk on, if you have any comments, if you have any questions, drop those below. We will reach out to you, and we will actually start doing some videos on the topic suggestions that we get from our followers. So thank you very much for being here. Again, Matt and Alecia show every Friday with Precision Home Group.